If there's anything that separates Sonic from Mario, it has to be the openings. Whenever you start a Mario game, it's all like, Yahoo, let's go play the game, Mamma Mia, select your save file, here we go! But when you start a Sonic game, cue the rock. Sonic games let you know what's in store, even if it's false advertising. These openings always stick with me, and it's something that I've come to look forward to every time a new game releases, and to continue to be disappointed by when the game doesn't have one. So instead of wallowing in discontent and existential dread, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to rank all the Sonic openings from every game that has one?
Yes it would.
So welcome, one and all, to my rankings of the Sonic openings. But before we start, we have to answer the very important question. What counts as an opening? Well, foremost, it must play before the player has any control of the character. And it must be comprised of at least different elements than just gameplay, like CGI footage or vocal themes. This does mean a few opening cutscenes will be included, assuming they are CGI and not in-game. And by what measure am I judging this by? Well, first of all, the visuals. How does everything flow together? The direction, the animation, etc. Second, the music. How well does it fit and how much it rocks on its own? And thirdly, my BIA to the capital S, that'll reign above all else. And only mainline games, with a few exceptions.
So let's get started, shall we?
Starting off on a high note, Sonic CD, Super Sonic tier. Do I need to explain why? The first and the pinnacle of Sonic openings. Animated by Toei Animation, who subcontracted Studio Juno to help, also featuring not one, but two different songs accompanying it, and the result is beautiful. Except on the original system, where it's got some crunch to it. Listen up, 2D Sonic openings are peak, and that will never change. The direction here is spectacular as you watch Sonic fly across the screen, interacting with the environment in so many ways. Jumping between rocks, skipping on water, running up walls, and there's some really creative shots here where the camera is pulled far away as you just see Sonic's shadow against the mountains passing by in an instant before he zooms across, leaving behind a trail of dust and rainbows shooting out of the water. The anticipation, the snappiness of the posing and action. If I'm going to describe this opening in one word, it would be dynamic. From the storyboard to the animation, the way this opening makes you feel like Sonic whizzing around the world has been what Sonic fans have been dreaming a game would be for years now. Absolutely iconic, but the important question is, which song do I prefer? Sonic Boom from the USA soundtrack, or You Can Do Anything from the Japan and PAL one?
Both is good.
I honestly can't choose between them, they're both so good. I may give the edge to You Can Do Anything as I feel like it has a bit more energy than Sonic Boom, but I cannot imagine this opening without hearing Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom.
What a great way to start and to immediately go downhill from.
That's right, say goodbye to 2D, it's time to upgrade. Go back. 3D animation is my passion as Sonic is thrown into the Z dimension, which has the unusual side effect of causing him not to blink a single time, and being useful on a slow news day. I know, it's early 3D animation, it's not going to be Pixar levels of quality, but that's not going to stop me from making fun of it. A little crude, at least the music's decent? This is the easiest decision I've made all day.
Oh, but we can't forget about the Genesis version now, can we? Please?
I'm at a loss for words. I mean it. All I got is I'm impressed that this is even running on the Genesis in the first place, but that's the most praise this opening is going to get. Correction, this is the easiest decision I've made all day. Now bring me the real 3D Sonic opening. Other than giving me slight aquaphobia as a kid, the Sonic Adventure opening is stellar. The calm before the storm with the twinkling noises and blue sky at the beginning, before the city erupts with water gushing out of the sewers, flooding the streets, causing complete and untold pandemonium before... The energy this opening fills me with, as Open Your Heart starts blaring in the background as it cuts through all the Sonic characters, and this one shot of Eggman on the egg carrier is just mwah, masterpiece. This was Sonic's big jump into the third dimension, and while looking a bit dated today, it does its job by letting you know that Sonic is back. Super Sonic tier.
Though the main reason it surpasses all others, I didn't say it had to be a fair reason.
Okay, moving on to the sequel that didn't initially have an opening. Not until Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube did we get a proper opening, and it's alright. Don't get me wrong, I love the flashing lights, Sonic and Shadow paralleling each other in front of the moon, and hearing a sliver of Live and Learn. I like that. It's just that it's a little too short and it uses the in-game models so it doesn't look as good as other openings. B tier.
But you know what they say, what goes up must come down.
Sonic Heroes has the most nonsense lyrics I've ever heard from a Sonic song, and that's saying a lot. Like, listen to this.
This makes absolutely no sense. I love it.
It shouldn't work, but it somehow does. Of course, you got the... Good thing, because I was starting to forget what this game was called. And wait a minute, is this song just a diss at Eggman? Bind you, confine you, defying your reign? Oh my goodness, it totally is. This whole song is just Sonic telling his enemies, no matter where you go, I will be there to mess you up.
Because we're Sonic Heroes.
And there goes 5 minutes of my lifespan.
My only problem is visually. There's minor slowdown at one part, it reuses cutscenes from the game, and I'm sorry, but I think Sonic Heroes CG cutscenes don't look the best. A tier.
Shoot.
Time to bring the edge. The first thing you see is Shadow reloading a gun. That just tells you everything. Just like Sonic Heroes, this shouldn't work, but it does. The one word I can use to describe this opening is edge. The music, the visuals, all flow to this central theme, and it's hilarious. Its saving grace, other than being ironically good, is that it looks super good. The opening and CG cutscenes for the game was outsourced to Blur Studios, our favorite CG Sonic company, who is also home to everyone's favorite Sonic movie director. They always did an amazing job when it came to CGI cutscenes, and Shadow the Hedgehog was the first taste of what they had in store for us. And its second grace is the music. All of Me is so edgy but so good at the same time. I will rock out to it any chance I get. High A tier.
Damn it.
Don't give me that. Now for a brief intermission to include the coolest Sonic spin-off to ever exist, Sonic Riders. Sonic on hoverboards. This is literally perfect for the character. And again, 2D animated Sonic openings are perfection. Outsourced to the animation studio Production IG, this opening just oozes style and gets me excited to play the Sonic Racing spin-off that doesn't exist anymore. Please bring it back, Sega. It's so much better than Cars. I can't elaborate further, it's just cool. Putting it in Super Sonic tier because I love the animation and that supersonic speed.
Intermission over. Where were we, son of a...
Sonic 06. Blur Studios makes their return to do their unfortunately last Sonic game cutscenes with this game. They would later go on to help make the movies. Good for them. The animation is smooth, bouncy, and crisp with great lighting and effects. Although this one shot is forever ruined to me.
One!
Shut up. This opening is really good. In fact, it's too good. It promises so much that it becomes a detriment because of how the rest of the game turned out. It's a good opening cutscene, but looks alone can only bring it so far. Time to take a page out of the Storybook Series. Despite having a lower budget, both games received full CG openings as Anima Inc. would take over for the two games after Blur Studios, and they did a decent job. Starting with Secret Rings as the stage is set in the world of the Arabian Nights. Sonic approaches the palace where Razor Jin awaits, summoning his dark forces as it rises into the sky. With 7 rings in hands blasting in the background, facing a horde of enemies undeterred, Sonic grabs the flame on his chest and then starts running and... Oh. That's it.
That's it?
That is indeed it.
All this time spent building up to my own disappointment. Guess that's life.
Don't get me wrong, it looks great, I love the ideas it has, but it spends way too much time building up to just end so abruptly just before it was getting started. 30 seconds spent watching a palace rise into the sky, and I barely get to hear 7 rings in hand? What a ripoff! And Black Knight doesn't fare much better. Now it's an interesting case because it technically has 2 openings. The intro before the menu, and the actual opening cutscene. On the one hand, the intro plays like a trailer for the game with how it's edited, and it cuts off just before it was getting to the good part of the song. Come on! The opening cutscene, on the other hand, looks as good as always, and I'll never get tired of seeing Sonic faceplant onto the ground. And when he throws the chili dog up in the air to take care of the enemies and catches it right after? So cool. Despite the opening cutscene being good, I would have still preferred an actual opening with Night of the Wind blaring in the background compared to the 2 halves of what we got. Ladies and gentlemen, the Storybook Series, conveniently in the same tier. Back to the main line, and the pinnacle of 3D Sonic animation that has not been topped. Taking place in space! The Sonic Unleashed opening is gorgeous with amazing action, exaggerated animation, and just selling you on Sonic the Hedgehog as he takes down Eggman's pawns with style. In Blur Studios' place, Marza Animation Plan would rise up and deliver. The intro is a joy to watch, especially when Super Sonic appears and just begins to tear through Eggman's fleet, an unstoppable force that makes Eggman beg for mercy.
I wouldn't have to break all your toys.
Gotcha!
The tone shifts from a Saturday morning cartoon to the closest the Sonic series has ever gone to body horror, at least in the games. With the haunting transformation into the Werehog intercut with scenes of Dark Gaia rising from the Earth's core, I have nothing but praise for the direction and visuals. And to give credit where credit is due, Eggman did it. He won. He defeated Sonic and sends him hurtling back to Earth. A perfect setup with amazing production value. S tier.
Oh, not Super Sonic?
Don't get me wrong, I love this intro, but that's what it is, an intro. 6 whole minutes of something I will only see a few times and won't have a rocking song to fall back on. When it comes to openings, I prefer if they were openings, not intro cutscenes, though this is definitely the best of that type. To put into perspective, I wish it was something more like... Yeah, exactly! This is more like it. Super Sonic, and yes, bias. Reach for the Stars hits every note of what I want from a Sonic opening. Great music, great visuals, great everything. Reach for the Stars fits the game to a T and just captures Sonic's character so well. It's obvious that this opening means a lot to me, and just the way it flows, showcasing all the Wisp powers in the game, and ending off on this quiet note. This is my favorite 3D Sonic opening with my favorite main song. However, that's not the only version of Reach for the Stars to exist. Turn back time to the Sonic Symphony, where Reach for the Stars received one of the best remixes I've ever heard. Infusing synth with more rock, it exceeded the original for me. I could not wait to hear it again in-game. But of course, Sega happens. I didn't buy the game, but at least I could still watch the opening on YouTube. Wait. This isn't the same song.
Okay, you lost me.
Trust me, there are 2 versions of Reach for the Stars Recolor. The first was the 30th anniversary version that played at the Symphony. I have it on Apple Music, it's real, I'm not going mad. I love this version to death, which makes it even more disappointing and confusing when it changed for the remaster. Ultimate's Reach for the Stars is mixed differently. The vocals sound muffled under the loud beats of the drums, some instruments sound different or are panned to a different side entirely, and the poor guitar part gets it the worse. All of this resulting in the mix that feels flat and muffled.
But why though? That's the million-dollar question. Why on earth would you make a perfect version of the song and then decide, okay, now how do we make this worse? Well, there could be a few reasons.
This is just speculation, but the ultimate mix of Reach for the Stars is possibly older than the anniversary mix. Also, the instruments used could be slightly different, and the fact that these mixes were probably made by different people under different circumstances is a reason I can't be too harsh on it. But why didn't they just put the better remix into the game? Well, the game was coming out in 2 months, and like all things Sonic related, they probably didn't have enough time to do that, or they thought the mix they had was good enough. It's still pretty good, I just prefer the anniversary mix way more. A tier, it's still Reach for the Stars, it's still pretty good, but my sensitive ears are not having it, I'm sorry. The last thing I needed was another reason to dislike this remaster.
I think I went through all the stages of grief with this song.
Next up, Sonic Generations. You have 2 Sonics to work with, so that means double the disappointment. It's not terrible, but... Actually, you know what? Yeah, it is terrible. For an anniversary title, I expected a lot more than just 2 Sonics running for 30 seconds in gray space. This should have been an opening that celebrates the entire series, but instead, C tier. Sonic Lost World. Meh, it looks good, however, it's Lost World, moving on. Sonic Forces, why do I even bother? Yeah, this has really dragged me down. Can I get a pick-me-up? Oh. I said pick me up, not throw me over the moon! The Sonic Mania opening. Magical. Back to 2D, back to classic, back with stellar music and 2 versions at that. Directed by Tyson Hesse, who kills it with this animation that is so expressive and alive. The euphoric feeling of seeing that elevator climb with close-ups of all the main cast together until it reaches Mania. Seeing the doors open, hearing the music kick in, it's Sonic Mania, baby! This intro never fails to leave a smile on my face. It perfectly represents what Sonic Mania is. A love letter to what Sonic is, was, and will always be to many. You already know what tier it's going in. 2D Sonic intros are 3 for 3. And finally, Sonic Frontiers. Doesn't have one. Seriously, you have all the CGI in the marketing, but not even for an opening? Man.
And those are the cold hard Sonic facts. I give to you the definitive Sonic openings ranking, and probably one of the only ones to exist, so therefore, is the best and most correct one. But no matter what I say, someone's gonna get mad at me over something, like how I forgot Sonic Origins. There, now it's perfect.
I've got nothing else to say here except, Kishimoto, if you're listening, please let there be an opening in the next Sonic game. 2D, 3D, I don't care which. Just have one, please. I'm tired of menus.